Good morning, everybody. Welcome back, episode 2. I had a little technical difficulty there at the start. Anyway, it's all good. Welcome back, episode 2. Very excited to be back, giving it another crack. Very important day for me. This is one of the guys who really helped me sort of see through the globe deception and navigate through the spells that have been cast over this realm. Many tools provided by him and his colleagues. I'm talking about a true modern day hero, in my opinion, a legend in the not only just the truth community in general, but in particular the flat Earth community. And that is correct. We are talking about none other than David Weiss. David Weiss.
Am I here? Hello.
You're here. You're here. We made it, David.
Can I ask you to make us wide instead of half and half?
Sure.
Because when I show images, it'll work out better.
This one, mate?
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Excellent. Well, this is my second go at it, Dave. So I really appreciate having you on, man. Thank you so much for giving up your time to chat to a channel that has 22 subscribers.
That's all right. It's all about spreading the word. And, I'm sure you'll spread the word from here on after I'm done. So
I will, mate. Good. I will. Excellent. Well, Dave, what I thought we could do is sort of get a little bit. I'm kind of interested in, obviously everything you've got to say, but also that awakening process for you. I've heard you talk about it a few times. I know you mentioned people like Sophia Smallstorm, who sort of pushed you over the edge to take that final step and research it. But what are some of the emotion and some of the some of the experiences around that penny drop moment? And what did you do? Did you go out and buy a high zoom camera straight away? How was that process? And moving on from that, what has life been like pre flat Earth and post flat Earth in all aspects, really?
Well, we only have an hour. That's a big question, man.
Yeah.
So many questions there. The beginning of my journey, I was doing a podcast called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and we were looking into things from 9/11 to a bunch of other nonsense. And, when the first episode that we did Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, it was on 9/11, and everybody in the studio, is a professional podcasting studio, like all the management was just like holding their heads like, what the hell just happened? This is in New York City, and they didn't know anything. They didn't know about Building 7. They didn't know about anything, right? So literally that was like the first wave of like, oh my God, I'm reaching people. At that time, when I started the podcast, my buddy Tim said, hey, we can do a podcast in the city. I said, what's a podcast? Right. And he's like, it's a radio show that's recorded. All right. I'm like, okay. And so that kind of like was my first like, wow, like I'm putting myself out there. And actually before that, you mentioned Sophia Smallstorm. She was a big influence on some stuff because we worked on Sandy Hook together. Her and I actually went to Sandy Hook, and her she connected me with Jim Fetzer. And at that time, I didn't have my name out there. I was doing everything behind the scenes. Right. I just had my channel, not my name and all the stuff. And Jim Fetzer just literally outed me in a huge article on I think it was on the Boston bombing. He just used my name, used my picture. And I was like, well, I'm out now. And that's the only way to be. The only way, if you're a truther, you have to come out and stand out, and you have to put yourself out there, and you have to show your face, because the ones that don't show their faces, something's wrong, Yeah. And also, I don't think it's a good idea for you to be an anonymous truther. Like there was a flat earther called now I'm forgetting his name. It's really bad. It's Dan, something Dan. Oh man, I'm spacing on his name. Everyone's yelling it. That's going to be listening to this. They're yelling it. And
I can't recall.
It was it'll come to me. I'll scream it out in the middle of the show when we're talking about something else. And nobody knew who he was, where he was, or anything. And he was making a difference. He was hitting flat Earth from a biblical side a little bit, and it was making great stuff. And then all of a sudden he disappeared. And then all of a sudden he came back out anti-flat Earth, made like a couple of videos, and like we never saw his face on those videos. And we're like, is that really him? Something happened to him, and nobody knows. So that was so So here's the thing. I'm not scared, right? This is what we're supposed to be doing. Our mission here on earth is to be seeking truth and sharing this world with each other. And the powers that want to be have us pitted against each other, fighting for possessions and fighting for material things, when in fact, if we all work together, we'd all have everything we need.
Yeah, totally agree. It's everything's right in front of us, right? I mean, it's just literally right here. Everything we need, everything to learn from, it's right here.
And it's all hidden. I mean, there's free energy, there's free food. Try planting a garden. There's free, everything is here, right? And there's no shortages, there's no overpopulation. All of that is made up stuff. There's no threats from outer space because outer space doesn't exist. There's, we're not going to get blown up by an asteroid because outer space doesn't exist, and be extinct like the dinosaurs because the dinosaurs, that's another made up story. And we're not worried about rogue countries because all of the big countries are all in on it together. There might be a couple little countries like Mexico or something that kind of not playing ball, but who knows? But they're all in it together. There are no nuclear bombs. I mean, we're hitting everything. So flat earthers, they know what not to be afraid of, and there's nothing to be afraid of. This place is amazing.
Yeah, totally agree. You said a lot of stuff there, Dave, and I can relate to a bit of it because I would say, fairly new to the flat earth community. And I think it's when you first appeared on Tripoli's podcast back in 2019. I think it was August, because, I remember those days. Yeah. Anyway,
I'm not sure what I did yesterday.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I remember because it was to the point where I was sick of listening to deep state stuff. You'd heard it all, and then I was like, oh, we'll listen to this guy, see what he's got to say. I had actually come across it back in the early days, 2014, 2015, some videos. It was the British guy, Dave. He was doing lots of stuff back in the day. I can't think of his name. Anyway, I jumped straight onto Flat Earth Society and saw some of the nonsense and just parked it. And then here we are again, fast forward 2019.
That's what they want. They want you to hit the Flat Earth Society, and then that makes you just give up. Like, oh, that's so stupid.
Yeah.
Right.
And then what you said, 100%, mate. And then I heard you speak, and the rest is history. So we'll get back to my original question.
Dave Marsh. You were talking about Dave Marsh.
Dave Marsh. Yeah. I just wanted to make
Tiger Dan. There it is.
Tiger Dan.
Yell it out.
I don't know Tiger Dan. Probably before
Tiger Dan. Search my channel DITRH for what happened to Tiger Dan. I made a short video on it.
I will do.
Go ahead.
I will do.
Yeah.
I was just saying about the existential threats like the asteroids and all that, and I was sucked into that, mate. I was deep down the guys like Graham Hancock and those kind of.
I loved him. I loved him.
Yeah, me too. Like I loved him, and I kind of still do in a way, but is he controlled, or is he just doesn't refuse? That's
really a great question. Like his work on Göbekli Tepe, he's talking about how they buried it. I don't think they buried it. I think it was buried in a mud flood.
Yeah.
And his whole timeline is off. Does he know the truth, but he's too tied into his grants or whatever it's keeping him going to ever face it? I think that's the case, but I don't know. I think he's just too lost in his world.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that's more like it. Anyway,
yeah.
Let's move on, mate. So tell me about your flat Earth awakening. So you were doing Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. You were 9/11. Dropping truth bombs, and then Sophia Smallstone finally convinced you to look into it. How'd it go from there?
Yeah. So she never really got into flat Earth, but I was talking to her about, some crazy bang events that happen. And I was just blown away. She's a long talker. And I live an hour from New York City from where the podcast was. And I was talking to her from my house, got in the car. I'm all the way at the studio. I'm still talking to her. And why I'm talking to her, I'm multitasking, and I'm literally banning people from our Facebook page for even suggesting, because I was getting hammered with flat earthers, those pesky flat earthers. I mean, they're tenacious, and they wouldn't stop. I'm literally banning people. And I said, Sophia, I said, there's so much deception in this world. It's mind blowing. I literally was about to start a podcast, and I'm just like, deception. And she goes, oh, David, it's worse than that. I think it's worse than that. I think the earth is flat. Those were her exact words. And I'm like, not you too. Like, what the hell? And she sent me Mark Sargent's Clues, I believe. And I think Eric Dubé's 200 Proofs.
Yeah.
And I started watching them and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna, I'm gonna put this to bed. And after 2 weeks, I realized, okay, everything I know is a lie. And I came out with it, and we didn't talk about it on the podcast because I didn't know enough about it yet. All I knew was something was wrong. And then I was like, all the work I was doing, I had a thing called Exposing the Big Three, which was New York, Connecticut, and Boston. Those events. I don't want to say too much on YouTube because you're not allowed to say those things.
Yeah.
And I was afraid of discrediting myself by coming up with something I don't know enough about. But then after a few months, I was like, I gotta do it. And I started bringing it up on the show, on every show. And literally the show imploded because nobody could handle it, And I was like, okay, we've been doing this for 3 years. We're done. And I started the Flat Earth podcast with Curious Jay. Yeah, Curious Jay. And then he had to go off and do some other contracted work, and he wasn't allowed to be doing a podcast. So then I met up with Matt Long and from Woketown, and we continued it. We're still doing it. We haven't done one in a year, but we're still doing it.
I've listened to them all, man. Yeah, it's a great tool. If anyone's new to this, then it really helps. Like, I think visuals are key, but if you really just want to hear the info and content and people spitball as well, just listen when you drive.
If you got to mow the lawn or do whatever you got to do, and you just can listen to audio, just go to flatearthdave.com. Scroll to the bottom. The podcasts are right there. I think they are. Yeah, I think they're there. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they're there. Or you can search it on iTunes or SoundCloud. It's there. And we're threatening to do another one, but Matt has like 7 kids now, working on 8. So
yeah,
it's crazy.
He moved sort of north, didn't he, from memory in one of those earlier episodes?
He did, but now he's back in Texas here in the United States, and the whole traveling back and forth with Canada with all of the nonsense is difficult. So we have an interesting end of 2022 coming up. So we're going to see what happens.
How so? How do you mean?
You mean like the financial collapse of the world, the collapse of the food supply, people going insane, people losing their minds, people, adult sudden adult death syndrome.
SADS.
SADS. Right? Can't imagine what that is,
Yeah, no idea.
It's crazy what's going on in this world, but
it's going quick.
Everyone has their journey.
Quick.
Well, my opinion is they're trying to depopulate the earth by 90%. And the population of the earth isn't the number. The good news is not as many people are going to die. Okay.
Sure.
But 90% of the people may die because there's not 7.8 billion people. They're lying about that too.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're lying about everything. Can you tell me something they're not lying about, please? Just something.
Oh, man,
something.
I do not know.
Anything.
I even think like a cup of coffee is probably really one of the worst things you could maybe do to yourself. It's everyone's on it every morning, every day. Who knows? Like things like that, or even probably, I don't know.
I'm finding out like tobacco is good for you, right? Yeah. What did the Indians know? What was really going on? Okay. Yeah. I mean, there's so many things. So many things.
It's just endless, isn't it? And that's you're deep inside the rabbit hole podcast. And I think once you break through that flat earth, I suppose pre-flat earth for me, I kind of thought I don't know, had a good grip on things to an extent. But once you break through that spell, you go back to zero. You're back at kindergarten again.
But you know what? The flat earth literally rips the foundation out from behind under you, but then you realize you never had a foundation. Okay. Yes. And then once you get over the pitying yourself, oh, I can't believe I was lied to my whole life. Once you get over that, you now know who you are. You now know where you are. You now have the ability to see the world for what it is, and you see deception for what it is. It's everywhere, and you can kind of see through that. Like flat earthers have X-ray eyes. We see right through the deception. We don't watch the news because it's nonsense. I thought you had to watch the news, right? Because they need to steer you with the news, north, east, west, south news. Okay, it's to keep you in fear. But flat earthers, they've brought it all together. We're not afraid. We can see the world for what it is. We're unplugging from the matrix. It's literally the matrix. I gotta go through the matrix again because there's so many quotes from Morpheus, talking about everybody that you see is still plugged into the matrix, and that makes them a threat. And that's true, because there are people that aren't ready to unplug from the matrix that will fight to protect it. And they're surrounding us. And you can tell them here, they're all wearing shame muzzles on their faces. But these people aren't ready to be unplugged. But that's the best analogy I can see is unplugging from the matrix. And what's more fun than waking up one of your friends or a stranger or anybody?
Oh, yeah. Yes, it's good, mate. It's good. And I think the gift of discernment really amplifies once you've sort of, flat earth is, as you said, it rips that foundation out, allows you to rebuild, to the best of your ability, really, because there's still a lot we don't know. And flat earth is not, we don't know everything, that's for sure. But what we do know is that what they told us about this Helios nonsensical model doesn't exist, can't exist. Can't exist.
This helio nonsensical BS model. It actually, that's one thing that is provable. I mean, there's so many things wrong with it. What is this? This place? Do we live on a plane in between? On an inertial plane in between toroidal fields, and we can only have consciousness within this system. Do you remember? I don't know how old you are, but when they were, pre-NASA, they were doing test flights, how high they can get people up. Maybe it was NASA at the beginning, how high they can get pilots. And they were finding out that they pass out at high altitudes. Even though they have oxygen and stuff, there were stories of them passing out and like seeing through their eyelids and all sorts of weird stuff. I think that we're energetic electrical beings here in this energetic electrical system, and we can't go too deep. 7.8 miles is the deepest any hole has ever been dug, and we can't go too high, which is like 73 miles.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
Interesting,
we went to the moon.
Wow. You can't help anyone who still thinks we went to the moon. Actually, in that though, you sort of got to this NASA deception post flat Earth, isn't it? That's a strange kind of pathway.
Well, it's just by chance because I never looked into it. I never challenged it. The lie was too big for me to see. I was alive when the moon landings happened, and it was like, it's too many people are involved. You can't keep anything a secret. And I never looked into it. And then we realized that, we're not from a big bang. The earth is flat. And then we're on a late night Skype call, and I said, what's up with NASA or something? I forget exactly what said. And literally everyone on the call just stopped and looked at me. They're like, wait, what? And I'm like, you believe we went to the moon? And either they started sending me stuff, or I literally researched for like 60 seconds. And I was like, yeah, that's fake.
Yeah. You could just watch one video and that doesn't even, I mean, come on. Anyway, I'm not suggesting just watch one video, but it literally is that obvious.
It's so bizarre on how bad it is. Like the movie Jaws holds up better. It holds up way better. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey mate, you mentioned about, you think you're like, oh, there we go.
This is what we saw. Like, I'm like, why are they going slower? Wouldn't you go faster on the moon?
You'd be cruising with these giant leaps.
Yeah. And these guys are hanging from wires.
Up and down on wires.
I once saw a video. I once saw a video of giant soundstage where looked like the moon landing, and the guys actually had giant balloons attached to their harness. So they're harnessed in, and they had a balloon maybe 15 feet wide, 20 feet wide, whatever it was, all within this giant soundstage, and it kept them at equilibrium. And so I think that's what's going on here. Like, I don't think there's a crane over him. I think he's trying to get some momentum to get that balloon to let him down to pick up the hammer, and he can't get down to get it.
Yeah, that's true. I think you're right, mate. It's crazy. It's so deceitful, isn't it? And I know people I've spoken to about the moon landing and probably similar vintage to yourself, where they remember it and they took the day off school, and it was there's no way. Like, I've had people say to me, I think the flat Earth's real before the moon landing, you know. So it's the indoctrination is big, and especially then you factor in the globe, and as you see it from day one, you learn it before you can talk, walk, write, read. They show it to you. It's everywhere.
You know, this is actually supposedly real footage. I believe it's from JAXA. It's from JAXA, of the moonrise. Now, one, you would never see the moonrise from where we landed on the moon, because the moon, everything would be above you, not across from you. But
Yes,
I could do this. I don't even have Photoshop. Just take like this and have a PNG of the moon and slide it up, and make it look better. Right. I've seen Globers argue that this is real. I could make one that look better, and I'd like to show it to them and have them argue it would be real. You know what I did once? You know, the photo, they call it the deep star field, and they said they focused on like a tiny little spot in the sky and did a time lapse.
yeah, oh
And
yeah,
zoomed in,
yeah,
and then you see a million different galaxies, right?
yeah.
So I took the high res of that and I put it in my movie editor, and I zoomed in to the smallest little section, and then I did a pan outwards, just to the full, you know, almost the full thing, or going from one part like across as I'm panning out. And then I showed it. I was on a debate with a bunch of Globers, and I was like, or I forget exactly, maybe it was just on Facebook or something. And I was like, how, you know, I go, this is fake. And I told them it was fake, and they argued that it was real. I'm like, how do you know it's real? Right. And I literally sucked them in, they hung themselves. And then you show them what you did, and they just ignore it and move on to the next argument.
Yeah, that's interesting to me. That just blissful, ignorant type of, there's a block there or something. I don't know if it's the ego. What there was a quote that I think you said about ego protecting belief, right? And it's kind of true. It's that, well, it just stands up and fights off any of these pieces of information that try to attack that ego. That's strange, man.
So the what was the I was going to say the I forgot I was going to say.
Oh yeah,
I forgot.
Hawaii.
Yeah. Bizarre. They got the same mountain in the background, Buzz Aldrin, right? I mean, the moon landing enough, but then, you know what? You get somebody and they go, okay, well, they're not showing us the real picture. They faked it because of Russia. They faked it because of aliens. I actually believe both of those things at one point in my life.
Me too.
And then you convince them like that it's not real. And like, yeah, but that doesn't make the earth flat. I'm like, well, they're lying to you about the moon, right? They're lying to you about everything. It's like right after we discovered Antarctica, Admiral Byrd said there's tons of resources out there. And they're like, oh, Antarctic Treaty, look up there. We're going to go over there. I mean, literally the next friggin' year. Okay.
Yeah, that was a big one.
Or the same year. Same year.
Crazy stuff, mate. While we're up in space, one thing that sort of blew my mind, because I went and bought a Nikon P900 and did some of my own observations pretty early on, which was awesome. There we go. The stars, like, you know, I show a few people these images of stars, and they, like myself, they just cannot believe it. I mean, does that look like burning?
Does that look like an impossible? I don't know what a burning ball of hydrogen of gases in a space vacuum would look like, because it's like saying
it can't exist.
It's like saying powdered water, you know, like what do you mix that with? Okay. And this is the star Capella. And you could, like, here in the north, you can see this with your naked eye. Actually, you could probably see it in Australia. It's probably more equatorial. And you can see this with your friggin' naked eye, but then you get a P900, P1000, zoom in, and it's pretty epic.
I wanted to put your screen. Yeah, it's cool. Have you got Alpha Centurion or any of the other ones there too? Or
I've got Arcturus, which is another one.
That's a cool one.
That's a great one. And that one, you know, they're all different, right? Now, a lot of the star pictures are out of focus, which does show you, if you know anything about lenses, it does show you some things that you wouldn't be able to see. But whether they're out of focus or not, they're not burning balls of hydrogen, right? Like this one, to me, it seems out of focus. But what's going on with this lighting and this colors?
It's epic, man. Like, they're just so cool, those images, aren't they?
Yeah.
It's so
And you could
cool.
do that, and you could do this yourself. You can
Yeah.
zoom in on this stuff,
Yeah.
you know, and then you can recreate it here on Earth. Get like a little LED light and reflect it through a tub of water, and it's interesting. You see some very similar things.
Yeah. So do you think the stars are somewhat intelligent or sentient, perhaps conscious?
I think, well, all the wandering stars, which now they call planets, are named after gods, and all of these stars look energetic to me. I like
Mm,
to think that stars perhaps contain our souls. That's the home of our soul when we're not incarnating here, and
mm,
we're here. And maybe the son of God, uh, the soul is the sun in the sky. I mean, there's
yeah.
so many similarities between the sun and the son.
Mm,
It's ridiculous, and that's not dissing religion, at all. I just think that some of the stories that people cling to are man-made, and thinking, we're told don't worship the sun. Well, who's telling us that? Why? I mean,
mm,
imagine the earth is cast into darkness for years, okay? And you're just scraping by. It's frigging cold. And then all of a sudden, you're here, let's say you're in the north here. I believe that the new sun is born underneath the North Star, right?
mhm.
Comes from the earth,
Yep.
okay?
Yeah.
What would you say when you see that sun? You'd look at it and you'd say,
Yeah. You
my
would worship
my
it.
my
My
savior.
savior.
My savior. And what would the
Thank
sun do for
you.
you? It would warm your heart.
Miracles.
It would
Mm,
feed you. It would make you
mhm.
healthy. It would make you see.
Yeah.
Okay. It would make you wouldn't be able to see if there was no sun. And now you can see. There's a lot to it.
That's
A lot to
interesting,
it.
mate. Yeah. Oh, there
Yeah.
is. It just keeps going. As you said, an hour. We don't. Yeah, we can't get into it all in an hour. That's for sure. And it really is the best part of it for me is that just you're starting again, as I mentioned earlier about back. You get pulled back down and say, hey, well, your imagine for one, your imagination just it takes on a level that you could never even thought possible, and two, it doesn't end, and that's the beauty of it. And imagine if all those resources that went in on I don't need to tell you this, but that went into NASA every day, $60 million a day. Imagine what we could do with that.
60,
That's just
63.
it's gone up, hasn't it? Yeah, yeah,
63.
crazy.
And then people like, well, you think that Satanists are running this world? Look at this heliocentric model. Have you
Mm,
seen all of this? I mean, the sun
yeah,
is
I've seen it
60.
all, man.
Everything. It's 6 6 6 6 everywhere. I'm not going to read them all, but it's ridiculous.
It is.
It's,
It is.
and how this place works with all of these numbers and signs and symbols. Signs, symbols, and numbers are how this matrix works.
Yeah.
And our words have very little they're actually more dangerous than we realize. Like when you say good morning, you're saying good death. Okay?
Yeah.
Morning,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And so they've weaponized, us. The real language is used like hieroglyphs, and they mean what they say. Um, but we're stuck here with the English weaponized language.
Yes, yes. My wife's Brazilian, so they speak Portuguese. And yeah, just when you said good morning, I instantly thought what they say, and it's bom dia, which is dia is day, so it's good day. So even just those little things like that
Yeah.
probably have deeper roots, right? They don't have these English
Right. And then
whacked
all
over
of
words.
their stuff, like the space station, it's got
Mm.
these Freemasonic symbols. And so this is the sigil of Lucifer. Okay. It looks a little familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
And there's nobody on the space station because the space station doesn't exist.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. It just
And
appeared out of nowhere, and they modulated it,
right.
right? They built modules on Earth and then assembled it in space,
Right.
like these. Yeah. Anyway.
Right. And they don't want you to understand creation. They tell us
Mhm.
this is what we were shown in school as kids. This is what happened. Lightning struck and created an amoeba that turned into, all of this stuff. And this is my ancestor right here. Look,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
This is my
I can see the
ancestor, this
resemblance.
tadpole, and he turns into a fish, and he grows legs. And this is what we're told. This is what we're taught in school, and at an age where we're too young to challenge it.
Mm. Yeah, mate. It's interesting stuff. Like in the why, I just keep coming back to the why some people can unplug and why others can't. And I suppose part of me making this channel is I'm sort of looking for some kind of similarities. Maybe they don't exist, and maybe it just is. But I just wonder, like a guy like you can see through it, but my next door neighbor, I could beat him over the head with it day in, day out, and you would never see it. So it's interesting stuff. What were some of your? Oh, hang on. What's that slide you got up there? That's an interesting.
Oh, it's just more 666 numbers.
Oh, okay.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah. The Earth's tilts is on the 66.6 degree.
Yeah.
Anyway, what did you growing up? How was did you listen to sort of alternative music? Were you into art? Like you always loved movies? What did any of that stuff?
Normal growing up. My mother was an artist, so we had painting. We did a lot of painting. I liked, I played hockey. I had a pond right behind my house. We skated a lot. We fished. We did, we played in the mud and the dirt and built dams and played in the woods and had go-karts and mini bikes, made a track in the woods. Normal kid, guy, did everything. And then, this culture here in America, for teenagers and up is drink. Everything's drinking. Every movie, every show, it's all about drinking. And that's all that matters to most NPCs in this world is just alcohol. Now, don't get me wrong. I like having a good margarita here and there. But I'm not a big drinker. I'm a really not a big drinker at all. But everything is based around that. And then, you've heard the story where I was in either kindergarten or first grade. They were teaching us about gravity, spinning water around on a boat, on a bucket, on a rope. And as a little kid, I asked the teacher, I was like, doesn't the water have to be on the outside? Because if we're a globe and the water's on the outside, and the teacher's like, huh. He goes, well, and he gets the book. He goes, this is how they tell me to teach it. So this is how I'm going to teach it. But you keep asking questions, right? And I think that affected me more than I realized because, I'm like, that's ridiculous. But then I just went and played on the swings because we were outside and didn't care. But I think that might have something to do with why I question authority. And the problem is we're taught to obey authority. Do you know how old? I don't know.
39, mate.
39. So when I was kids, with television only ran till 11 p.m., 12 p.m., 1 a.m. And then it would sign off. The television station would literally sign off. Right. And that was the coolest thing ever if you stayed up late enough to watch the TV sign off. But at the end, they would play a pledge. They would play the national anthem with the flag waving. Right. And then the words for the national anthem would come in and fade in. But if you could probably still find it on YouTube. Just put American National Anthem hidden meaning or something. As the words fade in, there was another word behind that you don't see except your subconscious sees, and it said obey government. Government is good. Obey. Consume. It literally was the movie They Live. But this is what people were seeing. And think about it. People that are watching it sign off, they're probably pretty dozy in that alpha state. And literally, I wonder how much of that affected the way the world is right now, because the world is so screwed up. There's so many people that are sleeping. And, so one of the things you were asking about is how does it affect my life? Well, I don't talk to my brother and sister anymore, which makes me really sad. And because they're NPCs, they don't get it at all. They don't even understand that chemtrails are real, that they're admitted. It's not a theory anymore, right? They don't understand any of it. And I'd rather not argue with them. So unfortunately, we just don't talk. And I've had some lifelong friends that have cut us off. But putting that aside, I've made many, many more real friends. And we don't talk about sports and news and murder and and drinking, because that's all people really talk about, those four things. We talk about real stuff. When we go out in nature, we look at the rocks and go, that was a friggin' tree. That's amazing. Right. And life is amazing. We're not afraid of a secret boogeyman flying through the air that's going to give us some stupid made up disease.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, life is amazing. It's just, unfortunately, we're going to go through some really troubled times for a lot of people. But, you know, if everyone had the right attitude and understood our position in this world, things would really work out a lot better.
We could come together and brace for the storm. I suppose the and flat Earth really is it doesn't have to get to that through flat Earth, but I think particular it's so crucial to this whole awakening, whatever you want to call it, this paradigm shift, because you nailed it, mate. It rips the foundation from out under your feet, so you need to rebuild, right? You need to start again from scratch. And it's crucial. It's taught me so much. And I know when the the BS of 2020 started, it was quite obvious, like to me that there was something going on. It just you don't have to be a rocket scientist. Well, no, the rocket scientists aren't even that clever, do they? It's a funny I guess a quote that they've thrown in the lexicon, isn't it? Well, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. I was thinking of this the other day. Just another one of those little...
It is good. It is good.
Anyway, I guess where I'm going with, mate, is that some of us are, can see what's coming and others can't, and that's just how it is.
Right.
I think Flat Earth was a big, push for me to help me get to that other side and really take notice. But I want to know what you're doing. You don't have to get it too specific, but how are you preparing, or what are you, or nothing? You're just going full steam ahead. It is what it is. I'll deal with it when, if.
We're prepared for some supply line crashing. We're prepared for a lot of things. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people around us that are not prepared, and that makes for a quite dangerous situation. I also believe that all of this could be avoided if people just wake up, because it's our thoughts that create this world. They have us believing, they want us focusing on the crash. They want us focusing on all of this stuff happening, because they can't do it without us. Right. I realized that when we started the Gulf War, I'm like, why do they need our permission? They have all the keys to all of the jets and stuff. Just go, ignore us. But they need us to pound the war drums. They need us to give them permission to do what they're doing. They need us to create, manifest the world that they vision. And, they got us to a point right now where, people's healths are hurting because for some reason they allowed some crazy bioweapon to enter their system, and there's stuff falling out of the sky that they're breathing, and there's crap that they're eating, and then they're watching the news, which literally affects every cell in your body. And then they're financially, people are falling apart, and that puts fear in you. And when people get into this discombobulated fear state, that's at the point where, for lack of a better word, evil spirits can get in and get a hold of you. There's where our soul is having a journey here at this vibration, in this avatar suit that we call our body. And there's other less evolved, lower vibrating souls that don't have bodies that try to influence us, and they can't get into somebody that is connected and awake and aware, but they can get into people that are panicking and freaking out, and then they kind of control them. So that's what, I don't know if you've noticed in the last month or two, there's a lot of insanity happening. People are literally losing their minds, and they're saying and doing stupid things. Even people that, a lot of truthers are falling apart because they haven't taken care of themselves. Good intentioned people exposing all the negativity, but all they've been focusing on is the negativity. Yes. Okay. And that destroys them. And then, for lack of a better word, evil spirits get into your body and affect you. Right now, my soul is directing me. That's my soul who is speaking here. And my avatar, my body, my ego, whatever is physically doing it, but my soul is influencing me. And if I lose control of my soul, then other evil forces, if you will, can affect you. You look at people that are asleep and angry, and that's not normal. It's not normal.
it's not. They're surviving but not thriving. You know, they're just kind of getting by, putting rubbish food in their mouth, being bombarded by different types of pollution. You get by, but you're being controlled and you're not living a true soulful experience. It's man. Flat Earth was for me anyway, was such a great part. I can't say it enough. You know, it's just been
it's the one that wakes you up. Like I woke people up to the 3 big events that happened here in the Northeast in America, and they go right back to sleep. They're like, this and that, and the people, it happened this way, it happened that way, and those people aren't going to be around anymore in a new administration. They make excuses. Flat Earth, once you see it, you can't unsee it, and it affects you every single day, all day, 24/7, right? I always talk about every billboard in the world is good for a flat Earth message, but only a few billboards near me are good for a restaurant in my town.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, that's it, mate. Well, thanks for that, Dave. That's good. While we're on you mentioned the financial collapse earlier. What do you think about maybe a dumb question for you, but let's throw it out there anyway. Crypto, Trojan horse or savior?
Well, the world is going into a digital currency, which is fortunate, unfortunate, and fortunate, I guess. And crypto, the privacy cryptos have the potential from saving us. The problem is there's 2 ways they control us. One, they have us spinning out of control, lost in space. So you have to literally place yourself back in the center of creation. And then we have to stop playing with their monopoly money, right? And so their money literally is monopoly money. Do you have monopoly in Australia?
Yes, we have monopoly.
I don't know, man. I don't know this stuff. I mean, all the money would fall off the board. And
that's true. Yeah, I've got my feet bolted to the floor here, by the way.
But our money matches the colors. Our ones, 5s, 10s, 20s, 50s, and 100s are the same color as the monopoly money. So if we're playing with their money, we lose. We lose because their money is nonsense. So, there's privacy crypto like, Pirate Chain and Monero and there's a bunch of them.
There's a lot.
Yeah. There's a bunch, but they're all in the toilet right now. However, this is what happens in crypto. However, I'm going to say that with a note. This is the first time we've had this bear market when the world is also collapsing at the same time.
Yes.
So here's my theory. Right now is an awesome time to buy crypto. If you got you could turn $30 into $300,000 if we're not all dead in a year or two. Okay. All right. So now everything's on sale, right? But here's the thing. If crypto goes to zero, all other currencies are going to zero too. Yeah. Everything's going to go to zero. And then money isn't going to be your issue, right? So, having some cash, having some crypto, having some gold, silver, and especially lead attached to little cartridges that have gone. You wouldn't know about that because you guys had your friggin'
we don't have lead in Australia.
We have lots of lead here, and it's probably one of my number 1 assets that I have. Lots of lead, right?
Fair enough.
Lots of lead.
Yeah, so we're missing out on that.
Yeah, well,
it doesn't matter which way we go. If we go deflationary, hyperinflationary, then deflate, it really doesn't matter because both outcomes aren't good. Because and as you said, all the asset classes are breaking down at the moment. I kind of tend to think you could still argue a case that we have a rally from here, and that's probably more, along the lines of the Fed's going to do a pivot because markets are starting to break, which they've done
tomorrow, as the date of this recording. Tomorrow they're going to announce, and the markets could react violently. But that's when fortunes are made, and these are the times that fortunes are made. Yep. In crypto, it's a wild ride. If you don't like roller coasters, do not get into crypto. And when you have a big gain, take profits. Don't wait for the huge gain after that. Take some of it out. Lock in your profits. I was smart enough to do that where I took out more than I invested. And so now the rest of look at it as funny money.
House money. Nice.
Yeah, it's all house money.
Mm-hmm. That's good, mate. Any hot tips for us other than the privacy coins? This is not financial advice, by the way.
Nothing's financial advice. There's a crypto that I really like, but it's in the app. I have there's 2 in the app. So if you go to the shopping cart in the app, and scroll down, do you have my app?
I've got your app, mate. I've gifted it to that many people.
Right. So Epic Cash, and then Richard Hart, who if you watch, Richard Hart is a character, but he's doing what's called shock marketing. Okay.
Yes.
But Hex and Pulse
I got
Chain.
into Hex, man. I got into Hex early.
Did you get in early?
Yeah.
Good for you.
I've sold most of it already. So when it was
all right, well, as long as you came out ahead, Hex is taking what, an 80% dump right now.
Yeah.
So, but I got in on day one, and I took out some profits, which I was really like, I should reinvest this back in. And I was like, you know what, I'm going to lock in some profits, and that's always a good thing to do. But Epic Cash literally is Bitcoin. Think about this.
Oh, okay.
Epic Cash is Bitcoin with privacy, where it doesn't take it like if I sent you Epic Cash right now, you would have it in 1 second, and it costs less than a penny, I think, to send it, or a couple pennies, right? It's literally free. And there's also only 21 million, right? The whole thing is literally Bitcoin with better technology, usability. Their wallet, which is the Vite wallet, actually sucks balls, but it's not that bad. Okay. Once you get over it. But here's the thing: the way I look at it is, when Bitcoin came out, you had to go through Mount Gox or whatever, and it was so complicated, right? And it was so hard to use, but you could have got Bitcoin for pennies per coin.
Yeah.
Was it 5 cents a coin back then? Okay. And so does that mean it's a bad thing? No, I just think that they've got some big plans. The problem is right now is if you have a bunch of Epic, literally if you sold a big chunk of like $50,000 worth of Epic, it would dump the price a bit, right? Well, that's not a lot of liquidity, but it's right. It's literally launched. It's literally poised to take off. So my advice is, and don't do anything. Anything I tell you, you're going to lose all of your money. I'm just saying that. Okay. Put a couple $100 in Epic and put it away. Put some money in Pulse Chain. It hasn't launched yet, but
I didn't do the sacrifice, mate.
Oh, you didn't do the sacrifice.
I ummed and ahed, and
I took a lot of Hex money and put it into the sacrifice.
I should have done that.
But again, who knows?
Hey,
but there's going to be an opportunity when this comes out. It's probably going to go up, and it's going to dump again, and then everyone's going to buy it. All right.
But you had Richard Hart on, right? And was it on your show with Jaron, or I didn't.
Was I on with Richard Hart? I forget. I know Jaron had him on.
Oh, was it Jaron? And how did he go? What was the outcome? Was he?
I can't remember. I've done so many interviews. If I actually talked to him, it went great, and we wanted to flat smack him. But honestly, I don't want him thinking about flat Earth until he gets Pulse Chain launched. Okay, because what does flat Earth do to you? It occupies your mind, right? And I want him to get this launched properly, right? And this guy might be the smartest guy in crypto, but also he's the most flamboyant, crazy.
He's got some haters. He'd be perfect for flat Earth.
But he always flashes his $1 million watches, all of this stuff. And I remember when the transition happened, he was like upset that these stupid TikTokers and channels that were just flashing expensive stuff were getting more views than him. And he's like, okay, I'll try that. And so he started buying ridiculous stuff. But he has behind him, he has like $10 million worth of watches. But they've gone up in value since he bought them. So it's actually a really good investment. Okay. So he's funny that way, but he might be the smartest guy in crypto. So that's my my recommendation is don't do anything. Okay. But maybe get a crypto consultation with Jaron or one of his people. If you know nothing about crypto, spend $100. Get a crypto consultation. I think you can do it for less. I think you can join their Friday classes. Learn about crypto and then never use it. Okay. But learn about it so you have the option to use it. Right. And then if you have a few $100, a couple $1,000, whatever, and you want to just throw it in, anything can happen. Right. Because that $1,000 isn't going to do anything anywhere else if you have it sitting around. So right now there's a friggin' fire sale. And,
I went shopping this morning, and last night a little bit. I picked up some stuff, but
good.
While we're on the topic of famous people, I suppose. You have done a few, namely Chris Jericho. You've been on with him a few times. But is there anyone else that you've kind of, and how's the journey with Jericho going? Like off camera, is he?
Well,
Is he there yet?
Chris is there, but he ain't gonna admit it. He what does he do for a living? He fake wrestles. Okay.
Yeah,
So he's, he fake wrestles. So he's to deal with fake space and fake globe earth. I mean, it's a lot to deal with. Chris gets it. He's just not going to say it out loud, but go listen to my interview. I just recently re-uploaded it. I redid it with some new images, and it's on my Flat Earth Dave interviews too. All the links are at flatearthdave.com, and go or right on the app. Hold on. If you go to the web button and you click interviews, which is right here, right? Interviews. And it's the top one. It's the last one I entered. So as of this date, May 14th or whether 13th, is it May or June? No, June. It's June 13th. It's the top video right here, and it's on the Flat Earth Dave Interviews 2 channel. But check that one out. That was a really fun one. And listen to Chris. He's not an idiot.
You're right.
I've been on a couple times. Other interviews,
somewhat famous people that have like a good following that have. I know you've done lots, mate. You are.
I've been on with Alex Jones. I've been on with a lot of big, truth channels. We have one called the SGT Report here. Okay, with Sean. Yeah.
Listened to him a fair bit.
I was on with him. I was on with Charlie Ward, who there's a lot of controversy about him, but he had a huge following, and I literally woke him up on air. Like when he saw the flight routes, he's like, "Oh my god!" And he got it.
I saw that.
Right, but then he shied away from it.
Okay. So he shied away. Yeah. So they all shy away.
But he shied away, whatever, because he's either has an agenda or he's just focusing on other things. I don't demand that people focus on flat earth. Focus on whatever you want to focus on. But if you're going to say stupid things about flat earth, you're going to hear from me.
Sure. Excellent, mate. Excellent. Yeah. I mean, what will you be doing? 2-3 interviews a week now, would you say?
2-3 a week. I do. I had a slow week this week. I had like 6 this week, and maybe more. By the end of the week. But I was doing, I'm averaging anywhere from, a slow week of 5 to I was doing over 20 a week at one point.
Unbelievable. Are people approaching you? You don't have to.
Well, now they're coming. Now they're coming after me. But we went after, all these shows like, hey, you want to talk about flat earth? And we come at them at all different ways. And it's interesting. It's interesting. The little shows turn into big shows. They just did the Inspired channel with Jean Nolan. And he's great. This guy gets it, and he does these really good shows on just basically what this world is. And I don't think he was focusing on flat earth. I'm not sure if he knew, but I was just recently on there, and he gets it, and now his audience is getting it. And then Owen Benjamin, I don't know if you know who he is. He was knocking out the moon landing, and people are like, flat earth, and he's like, oh, that's stupid. And then I got him to have me on, and the guy woke up pretty quick. I recently just featured on the app. There's a featured video every day. If you go back a couple days by hitting the archive button, find the Owen Benjamin Awakening. It's a great compilation of him from flat earth is stupid, and then please, I don't want to be a flat earther. It's like,
I don't want to be a flat earther.
I think I don't want to be a flat earth person. I've got enough problems, and literally to the point where he's like, it's fucking flat, So
it's fucking flat. All right. I've seen those, man. It's great. It's great.
Yeah.
So
good stuff.
I'm just conscious of the time here, Dave. We're coming up to the hour. Okay. What you mentioned a few things there. Where's the best place we can find any of this stuff?
All my links are at flatearthdave.com. Flatearthdave.com. All my links are there. You can book me there if someone has a show or a show. There's a contact me there. There's a support button there. Support for the app. So many different phones. Sometimes people have little issues working out some of the little bugs. So if you have the app, you have an issue, hit support. There's also a support button in your app. But don't send requests, compliments, or anything to the support button because they'll just get deleted. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep.
and
How's the friend finder going?
the friend finder is killing it. Let's take a look. The friend finder is great. People like, it's tracking me. Nope, it's not. It's the worst tracker in the world. First, it has your approximate location, and then your phone, you can set that to only show my approximate location. So you have your approximate location of your approximate location. When you move around, it doesn't update your location. Okay. It doesn't update you. You have to manually update it by double tapping the icon there. Why am I oh, it's because my cellular is not on, and there we go. So now it's going to go. So it's the worst tracking device ever. So if you're worried about tracking, you can actually remove the friend finder. You can go into settings, turn a little switch off next to the friend finder handshake, and it removes it from the app completely. So these are the people that are just near me. That circle is 50 kilometers. And it looks like I just broke 400. Boom, 400.
Damn.
Okay?
Nice, mate.
400 people within 50 kilometers. And you can message them. The ones that have little chat icons in them, those people have filled out profiles. So if I tapped on one, I could see that this person has a profile. People are using it as a dating app, as work, looking for work. Like if you want to hire somebody and you're a flat earther, you only really want to hire a flat earther. You don't want to hire a normie. Right. No. And so you can send out a little job posting, or you can check people out and say, hey, are you interested? You can look in their profile. It says if they're interested in work opportunities, and you can contact the people. Every single dot on here is an intelligent, awake, aware person. And they'd either be a great employee, a great partner, a great friend, a great spouse, whatever. They're all here. This is the best meetup machine going. And if I hit the number on the bottom, it brings up a world map. Let's go look at the land out over. And you guys are expanding nicely. Where are you located? Where are you located?
I'm in Queensland. So on
Queensland
the
is
coast.
Up.
It's north from Sydney. Yeah, just
north.
in the southeast. Yeah, so if you zoom in there and sort of a bit or south, right there. So
Brisbane.
Just north of Brisbane. Yeah, just north of Brisbane. Yeah.
There you go. So it's coming.
There, up there.
There you go.
Yep, that's us.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yo, we're getting there. We're going to try and do some sort of meetup. We've got a Telegram group that's just Australian based. But
so
you guys,
you know how to send out a group message, right?
I haven't played with it in a while, mate. No,
so
but
if you go first, you go into settings, and then you say, all right, 50 kilometers, and I say save, and then I hit this button here. It'll send a message to everybody within that 50 kilometers. Hey, meet up at the Brisbane Tatarian building. And who built Brisbane? Did you watch that?
No, who's done that?
On Autodidactic channel and Tartaria Australia, they did it. Who built? I think it was them that did the Who Built Brisbane.
I'll check that out, man, because I was just there recently with my friend, and I said, let's go have a look. There's one of the giant organs. It's a world-renowned one in the Brisbane.
Crazy. It's crazy. So, and then also there's a new button here if you've updated, and that shows you how many people you referred. So if you refer people, give them your referral number, and it keeps track of how many people you woke up. So these are the karma points. So when your time comes and you go to the pearly gates and God says, what have you done? You can break out your app and go, I woke up 27 people. And they're like, come on in, first class. Okay. So, awesome. So that's what this does.
No, thanks, mate. Love your work. It's absolutely astonishing. You truly are a modern day warrior, man, a modern day hero. Like, thanks for everything you do. Fearless, courageous, brave, intelligent. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Handsome. Don't forget handsome.
Oh yeah. How could I? Well, that just goes without saying, Dave, doesn't it?
And all right, mate. If anybody wants good flat earth shirts in the app under the shopping cart, the first button is my store. I got lots of fun shirts that spark conversations, right? The best thing is you don't want to bring flat earth up. You want somebody else to bring it up, because now they've asked you a question. Now you have opportunity. Now you have the permission to lay it on them.
Yeah, good point. Fantastic. Mate, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining, the channel this morning and giving up your time.
All right.
Hopefully one day we'll catch up if this world ever gets back to normal again. I'd love to come over to one of the Flattoberfests. They look
There
amazing.
you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be cool. One day, me and Mitchell might come over, get a few others.
All right. Fantastic. All right,
Oh,
man.
yeah, Dave.
Thanks. We'll
Thanks,
see
man.
you. Thanks.
See you later.
All right. Bye-bye.